What's good, YouTube? Look, I've played Watch Dogs Legion for a good amount of time now. I've actually completed the game. I've played it on both the PS4 and the PS5, and I've enjoyed my time with it. But let me tell you what I thought about the game. Cue the intro. What's good, internet? It's your boy BigTony, and thank you for tuning into my video. Now, if you follow me on twitch.tv/BigTony015, you would know that I've been playing Watch Dogs Legion. To be fair, I've completed it. Sadly, I had to bump down to the PS4 version of the game because when I tried to play the PC version on stream, I got this. Oh god, it looks so bad. How does it look on your side?
Auto drive now enabled.
I don't want no fucking auto drive, fuck that shit.
Auto drive now disabled.
Now, to be fair, I was gaming and streaming on one system, so that's probably the reason why I got this kind of performance. And, let's keep this between us, but I didn't actually play it without being on stream. However, the performance, I couldn't stream that. It was too choppy. Anyway, just because I played it on the PS4, it doesn't mean that I missed out on much, other than, 60 frames per second and nice visuals. But anyway, please leave a like and comment down below what you think about the game. Also, hashtag whatever console you played the game on. And if you like the video and you want to see more, hit that subscribe button and his friend the bell, like that motherfucker that owes you some money. Because I know somebody owes you some money.
We trained in manual overrides at MI5.
You're full of surprises.
Story. You begin the game as a DedSec operative. There's a group trying to blow up the Houses of Parliament and they're trying to make it look like it was DedSec. Of course, you stop them. However, you're confronted with a huge hologram hoax claiming that London needs to be destroyed in order to save it. A reset, or 0 day if you will. At that point, there are 3 huge explosions that set off in London and the operative is killed by the hologram host drones. So, of course, London is scared and private military group Albion is in charge of securing London, and they're also hunting down DedSec, which they do successfully, and they're also terrorizing the people of London. DedSec has to rebuild from the ground up and find a way to free the people from Albion and take down 0 day. There are other factions such as SIRS, Clan Kelly, and 0 day. Oh, and of course the Metropolitan Police. Now usually I would do some pros and cons, but to be fair, I only have cons. The story is serviceable, it's nothing great. The twist at the end isn't even groundbreaking in the slightest, and to be honest, it wasn't even a shock, so I'd have to give that a con. Performance and graphics. I played Watch Dogs Legion on the PS4 Pro and on the PS5, and the performance was okay. On the PS4 Pro, the game ran at a mostly smooth 30 frames per second, and after some research, I found out that the game ran at a dynamic 1620p, sometimes dropping to 1080p, which, to be fair, was not very noticeable. However, what was very noticeable was the texture pop-ins that came with the PS4 Pro version of the game. For example, I had a moment in game where I got to my destination and there was a structure and a car, and they looked like there was something out of a PS1 game. I stood there for at least a minute before the textures loaded. When moving on to the PS5 version of the game, I noticed that the game is still running at 30 frames per second. However, the resolution had gotten bumped up to a dynamic 4K, and it had the RTX, which made the game look amazing, I can't lie, but the game already looked nice on the PS4 Pro, so to get the RTX boost, it was great, but was it really necessary? No. Streets, buildings, cars, and lighting all looked amazing, but I was let down with the fact that the next gen, now current gen, consoles only ran the game at 30 FPS. I understand that Ubisoft wanted to, wow the world with great visuals, however, they needed to give gamers options. Give us the option of having the performance mode and having a graphics mode. Let us choose if we want to use RTX or not, because whilst RTX looks great, I would rather a smooth 60 FPS. I feel like making the PS4 Pro version of the game 16 by 20, even dynamic, was a waste of power. Drop the resolution down to 1080p and put the rest of the power into making the textures and the lighting and the anti-aliasing and other graphical features better, or use that power to try and make the game 60 frames per second. And that's the same with the PS4 Pro. At the end of the day, I'm sorry. Listen, at the end of the day, the game doesn't need to run at 4K. Bump it down to 1440p and then give us the options of increased performance or better graphics, or much like, you know, Spider-Man Miles Morales did, give us a mix of both, give us a fusion. But having the game run at 4K, dynamic might I add, and 30 frames, it doesn't feel like a true step forward into the next gen, and it doesn't feel like they've utilized the power of the console whatsoever. Also, I would like to add that the PS4 Pro version of the game crashed on me twice. Also, I mean, just look at the water in this section here. Check this out. Cool little Easter egg there, you know. It's unacceptable.
What the fuck is this? What the fuck is this?
Pros. The lighting and textures looked great in both consoles, especially on the PS5 with the dynamic 4K and RTX. Cons. Resolutions could have been lowered on both consoles in favor for a higher frame rate. The PS5 should not be running this game at 30 FPS. There are some terrible pop-ins at times. The game crashed on me twice. Unacceptable. World. If I'm going to be honest, and I should be, Ubisoft did an amazing job of recreating London. They get the tone and the vibe of London down well, and some areas like Piccadilly Circus and Camden are so close to their real life counterpart, it's almost indistinguishable from the real location, aside from scaling of course. However, because it's a scaled down version of London, some iconic locations are missing, such as Liverpool Street Station or Old Street Roundabout. Now, maybe that last one just bothers me because I used to work there and I was excited to see the roundabout and potentially where I worked, but I knew it was a long shot. That being said, the M by Montcalm, that freaky abstract building, is still there, as well as Old Street Tube Station. Anyway, back to London as a whole. It's grey, it's drab, but when the sun comes out, it's beautiful. And the lights of central London, like Camden and spots like Piccadilly Circus, it's a beautiful sight. My only gripe about the game is that they made London look like a fucking shithole, which it is at times, but it's not that bad. I mean, I know there's like lots of graffiti in London, but when you go to the tube stations in the game, the walls are plastered in graffiti. In some locations, the streets are littered with black bin bags and rubbish. Yes, some areas in London are less tidy and clean than others, like, you know, areas like Shoreditch and Camden and Hackney. And on the other end, there's areas like Canary Wharf and Chelsea that are, you know, very well kept. However, places like Hackney and Camden are not complete shitholes, but this game would have you thinking otherwise. Now, I understand that they may have been taking creative liberties because they're depicting a London that's in the middle of a power vacuum, but still. Anyway, onto the size of the map. Whilst the map is big, it's not huge. You can drive from one end of the map to the next in a decent amount of time. However, it's just large enough that you are glad for the fast travel system. Yes, I left that kind of mistake in there. I couldn't be bothered to edit that one out. Look, I'm sure everybody loves a huge open world to traverse, but when it's big for no reason, then you have problems. This game doesn't have that problem. Also, I have to add this one in. For anyone outside of the UK, and for anyone that doesn't like have, you know, my taste of music, this might not mean shit to you, but some of the music in this game is golden. And when I say some, I do mean some. But anyway, you've got the likes of KSI and Randolph, Red Alert, Stormzy, Rainfall, Big for Your Boots, Skepta, Shutdown, and J Hus, Did You See? That's just the hip hop and grime. Now, I know this game has a lot of techno or electronic music, but that's not what I'm into, and I understand that they added all that in because they want to tap into the whole techno hacking community and all that, but it's not for me. But anyway, let's go on to the pros. Ubisoft's London looks amazing. The lighting and the vibe is captured perfectly. Ubisoft included many iconic locations. There are some cool Easter eggs to be discovered. The map is not too big and it has a lot of fast travel destinations, and they have a good hip hop and grime selection, even if it is a little small. Cons. They make some areas of London look horrible with this excessive junk and graffiti, and they miss some locations like Liverpool Street Station, and due to downsizing, some locations can look kind of weird. This one is more of a semi-con because I'm assuming that, you know, it can't be helped. Gameplay. Starting off with the character movement, it seems like there were three types. Slow, this is for the older characters, some who couldn't climb, run, or crouch into cover. Average people, these people could run, climb, crouch into cover, and also they could do some light parkour, however they weren't very efficient and they may take longer to climb or have some rough landings. And then the fit people. These people could do everything. Their parkour was more efficient than everyone else, and they could, do the usual, run, jump, climb, and cover. That being said, the character animations were fine. It felt a little slow to respond, but you do get used to that quickly. I feel like the parkour was a little lackluster. The animation didn't flow like they did with Marcus in Watch Dogs 2. And I was speaking to my dad about this, and he said the exact same thing. Shout out to my dad for playing Watch Dogs 2 and Legion.
Businessman, shouts out to my dad.
Driving was fine, nothing to write home about, but once you got the hang of it, you could drift around corners in style, which is always fun. Much like the last Watch Dogs title, you have the option of playing the game how you see fit. You can go lethal, non-lethal, stealth, or guns blazing, and you can use your hacking abilities to fight. Whatever your playstyle is, you can play that way. So when it comes to recruiting people to your team, you have to do a favor for them first. This is one of my favorite features in the game because of how it's implemented. You can recruit anybody in the game aside from a few main characters. Before recruiting somebody, you can see how they feel about DedSec. They can like DedSec, which means that you can recruit them on the spot. They can be neutral about DedSec, meaning that you have to do one favor for them, or they can dislike DedSec, meaning you have to do 2 favors for them, or they can hate DedSec. And if this is the case, you can't recruit them at all. Now, this system is affected by your actions, which is cool because you can do something and it can help or hinder you later on down the line. For example, if I were to save a man from being harassed by Albion later on down the line, I may bump into his friend, partner, or relative, and because I helped said man, this person may like DedSec and be easy to hire. Or the complete opposite can happen. Someone may be neutral about DedSec, I can attack somebody who is one of their friends or family, and then they may dislike DedSec, which will make it harder for me to hire them. It's a great feature, especially when you're roaming around and you bump into the friends and relatives of an operative or people you've helped. There are side missions such as delivery driving, kick-ups, bare knuckle boxing and darts, all of which are very mid, but especially the bare knuckle boxing. At the time of me writing this review, I was thinking back to GTA 4, The Battle of BigTony, and all I can think is that the bare knuckle boxing in that game was way better than this one. If I'm going to be honest, each person has, 1 or 2 combos, 1 grab attack and 1 counter attack. And the first time you land that counter attack, especially when you're someone who does a 360 spinning sidekick, it's cool, but when you do that move over and 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 over again, you kind of get sick of it. Another thing, I really like the fact that teammates can go missing. They can get kidnapped and it's your job to rescue them. It's never too difficult, but it's a dynamic event that brings more realism to the game. The only thing is you don't have a timer, so you could literally leave your team member forever and free them when you can be bothered to save them. As you can guess, it's not really immersive at all, because if somebody's kidnapped, the truth is they probably have a certain amount of time before something bad happens, whether you pay a ransom or you come and save them. So to have a timer on their life, it would have made more sense. You would have felt more urgency to go and save them. Now, that timer didn't have to be in your face, it could have just been a hidden timer, but regardless, you still should have had to save your teammate. Also, it would be good if you were given some sort of ultimatum when saving your teammate's life. Like I said, when someone's kidnapped, there's most likely going to be a ransom. So for example, you may have to rob a hospital or rob a bank or do your own thing and save them, but it would have to be mega difficult. The fact that it's so easy to save your teammate, it's kind of whack. If someone is going to kidnap a member of a elite worldwide hacking team, why would they only have a few of their people guarding them? It should be way harder than what it was. And the last thing, and this is something that I feel conflicted on, when you upgrade an ability or a weapon for your characters, you upgrade it for the whole team. Now, I appreciate that because it means that I don't have to grind in order to build every character every time one dies. However, that links into what is definitely my biggest gripe of the game yet. I feel no attachment to any character other than the weapons or abilities that they had when I recruited them. I understand what Ubisoft was trying to do with the whole be anyone thing, but it sucks all the life out of the game. I had felt no connection to anyone in the game apart from Bagley maybe. And when you feel more for a talking AI like Joaquin Phoenix in Her, then the game has a problem. On top of that, the whole premise is that you're fighting against a system that is so blasé with people's lives. Yet, even with permadeath, all that I care about when a character dies is the abilities that I lost and the time that it will take to find and recruit another. The characters became disposable after a couple deaths, and it was annoying, but that loss of life was never more than, just a simple burden. So, I think that we should have lost all progress and abilities when characters died, not in terms of the story, but in terms of the character's abilities. And you should only be able to recruit a maximum of 5 to 10 people. At least that way when you die, shit gets real. And also you're more invested in the people that you recruit. It means more. On top of that, it could add an interesting difficulty curve to the game when you lose more operatives. Instead of being a 10-man team and being able to call in backup during a fight, You end up being a 5-man team and you decide that you need to handle missions with stealth because you can't risk losing another life. You'd have to play with care, building a team to your specific playstyle and making sure that you have all the skills that you need going into certain missions. But more importantly, you'd care about the team and not just their skills. Also, there's no actual Stormzy character in game, which kind of pisses me off, but we'll get into that. Weapons and combat. Weapons in Watch Dogs Legion are limited but cool. You have weapons such as batons, sledgehammers, wrenches, pistols, shock and lethal, silence pistols, nail guns, machine guns, shotguns, once again shock and lethal, and on top of that you have to trust your phone, drones, spider bots and grenade launchers, once again shock and lethal. The weapons gallery doesn't test the likes of GTA, however, for a game that's based in the UK where there are gun laws that prevent school shootings every other month, looking at you America, I am not surprised at all really. The use of weapons are fun, and you know, there's some weapons that, well, to be fair, there's one weapon that I truly never understood, but then again, that's probably just due to my playstyle. Also, I have to let it be known that you can't just go and find a gun anywhere. A lot of players have non-lethal weapons and you have to go out and find and recruit the people that have lethal weapons and special drones in order to be able to summon/use them. The combat is decent. Enemy AI isn't all that smart, though the enemies can be aggressive. However, I never noticed them using any tactics such as flanking enemies, so I mean, there is that. Enemies did have, you know, weapons like grenade launchers, but at the end of the day, the enemy AI isn't all that amazing. Honestly, a lot of the gameplay is distract, shock or explode, shoot to kill or to knock out, run, jump, cover, climb. The combat is nothing special, but you can make some combat sections great, especially when you get more upgrades and you get used to the game. To be honest, being a Watch Dogs game, the environment is a weapon. So like I said before, you can go in guns blazing, or you can go stealth, or you can go straight hacking. There is definitely a sense of accomplishment that comes with hacking your way in and out of a situation. Pros. There is a decent arsenal of weapons to use. You cannot find lethal weapons everywhere, you know, because UK gun laws, I'm assuming. I like the gunplay. There's a decent amount of recoil and using a mixed match of hacking and gunplay is fun. Being a Watch Dogs game, the environment is a weapon and you can play the game in, well, most of the game in whatever fashion that you want. Cons. Maybe a larger selection of weapons should have been in the game. The AI is aggressive but not smart at all, and nothing here feels revolutionary. Animations of the characters were actually worse than they were in Watch Dogs 2. So, summary. There's a decent arsenal of weapons to use. I like the gunplay, there is decent recoil, and using a mixed match of hacking and gunplay is the way to go for me personally. I like the recruiting system in the game. Teammates can be kidnapped and you can save them. However, the system does need more. Ubisoft's recreation of London looks amazing. The lighting and vibe is captured perfectly. Ubisoft included many iconic locations. There is a good hip hop and grime selection, and the textures and lighting looks great on both consoles, especially on the PS5 with 4K and RTX. Cons. The story is serviceable, nothing great. You know, the twist at the end isn't even groundbreaking in the slightest. You know, it wasn't even a shock. The resolution could have been lowered on both consoles in favor of a higher frame rate. I mean, the PS5 should not be running the game at 30 FPS, even at 4K. I don't give a shit. There is some terrible popping at times. The game crashed on me twice. Kidnapping teammates, you know, they stay that way forever and there's no timer, not even like an invisible timer. You know, they're never killed, they never go missing, so it's kind of more of a burden, you know, at some points. I mean, to be fair, I left one character kidnapped for a long time before I even bothered to try and save them. The character animations felt clunkier than the last game, and animations just don't flow like they did in Watch Dogs 2. I'm not saying that the people have to be, you know, free running exactly like Marcus, but shit should flow, or at least when the characters are clunky and clumsy, it should look smooth enough. Like everything just kind of feels janky. The side activities were weak. I mean, that's everything from the bare knuckle boxing to the kick-ups. I don't even feel any connection to any of the characters in the game. Even with permadeath, I mean, I could just go and find another character, you know, with the exact same skill set. And to be fair, you don't even lose your upgrades, so human life is basically disposable. In allowing you to play as anybody, Ubisoft missed out on the opportunity to build a game, you know, centered around a tight-knit team, you know, who you care about like you did with the last game. And I'm not saying that they should copy the Watch Dogs 2 formula, but give us a team that we can create that we would care about, you know, as opposed to just picking random NPCs that can just die and be replaced. Stormzy is not in the game. And when I say he's not in the game, all I mean is his fucking voice is in the game, yeah? And you do a mission, I'm not going to explain the whole mission, but basically, Stormzy's only appearance in the game is the music video for Rainfall is played on a screen and you have to, fuck it, you have to protect it. I'm sorry, fuck it. It's bullshit. You don't get to meet the character. You just hear his voice and yeah, it's cool, but I mean, like, come on, like, you don't get to recruit him afterwards. Like, you get his clothes, like, but the outfit's shit. It's just a fucking white tracksuit. Like, they use Stormzy as a marketing tool, but he's not even in the fucking game. It's not like Keanu Reeves in Cyberpunk 2077. He has a fucking role in that game. Stormzy doesn't do shit, and it's not a diss to Stormzy, but it's more about Ubisoft's use of Stormzy. And nothing here feels revolutionary. You know, the animations of the characters were worse than in Watch Dogs 2, and I just think like things like that, they kind of need to be improved on. But anyway, look, to give you a proper summary on what I think of the game, it's a cool game. It's a cool Watch Dogs game. I like that they tried to do something new, but honestly, it's not something that I would pay full price for. Would I recommend you play it? Yeah, definitely. But only buy this game discounted. Don't spend your hard-earned money on buying it full price. It's not worth the whole 60, 70 pounds that they're going to ask you for now. Get it on a deal or borrow it from a friend. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. This one's a bit longer because I did go in depth on certain things, and well, I mean, it's nearly 26 minutes of just audio that I've recorded here, maybe shortened down in editing or extended, you never know. But I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave a like, leave a comment on what you thought about my opinion on the game, and please, if you want to see more, subscribe and hit that bell button, and I will catch you guys later. Peace.